but
That's great.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you have a great attitude about it. Like that's amazing. I think back to your original message, if we're wrapped up with this, like, you know, you went on to kind of talk about mental health. I know you're in school. You're in grad school, correct? Working on your master's degree to kind of to be a therapist, right? Like, talk a little bit more about that, because like that was the main message, and I think some of that like took away from that. It even took us away from that, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
get carried away
yeah,
about
but like,
the
I think like your overall
something I wanted to
message-
talk about. Sorry,
Yeah,
that was
no,
me.
no,
I wanted to talk about
that's-
that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
I
wanted
like
attention, but
that
No, no, no.
was
let's go back
I
to the
love
original
that.
message.
Yeah, because like I think your original message is beautiful, and I think
Thank you.
it hits home with so many people. I was just saying, like, you know, I've been actively in therapy, and I've been talking to my therapist probably like once a week for the past like couple months. Partly
Yeah.
because due to this podcast, partly because of you know, my wife's been really encouraging me to kind of to be enrolled in it, and I would say like it's been so helpful. But like, and so I'd love your message and to have a platform and to spread a message of, hey, self-love, self-care. I think that's so great. Like, so talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so therapy is so important, right? And I didn't realize the emphasis of how important it was because, again, being Hmong, that was not something, it was a luxury to talk about your feelings, right? And your parents are ready to just wake up and take care of you and just move on with the day, and they are raising us just to survive, and that's nothing. They are raised based on how they were raised, right? And so they don't have time to talk about our feelings. And for 30 years, when did I first see a therapist? Actually, so the first time I saw a therapist was after my college breakup, and I was like so distraught by the breakup that I went to therapy for the first time. And people are afraid to be vulnerable, right? And we hate showing that we're sad or whatever. So I went to see the therapist, and I was like, she's like, so tell me why you're here. And I was like, oh, nothing. And I'm just like, I can't believe I just completely denied my whole reality and all of that. And that's because it's so deeply rooted in us to shove down your feelings and not talk about it. Because when you're crying, your parents are like, why are you crying? There's no reason for you to be crying, right? You didn't fall, you're not hurt. And it's like, sometimes I'm just sad.
Right.
And so when I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety, it just opened up this whole world of understanding. And I was like, wow, how many other people are suffering in silence? How many people don't know that they have depression or anxiety or ADHD or whatever, right? And so after seeing my therapist, I just was really inspired to go into mental health and therapy, or the grad program myself. So I am learning so much, and I'm just like, yeah, the Hmong people, we suffered a lot, and it's time for us to heal through it and to start thriving from, you know, whatever. We are safe now. And so through our evolution, we have always been on edge, right? And it's like, I feel like that's why we're so tied into the drama too, because if you think about brain function, your brain is wired to want drama. And so when life is boring, you're like, this is boring, but no, it's not. It's very peaceful when you come to that point.
It's almost like peaceful is not peaceful enough. We need
Yeah.
we need some shaking up happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. What did you go to, what were you originally going to go to school for?
So I went to one semester of medical school and dropped out. But so after I dropped out, I was completely lost. So I was 26, and from 26 to 30, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I was just, you know, job hopping, hoping I would land in something that I liked. And from job hopping, I learned that, you know, I'm very good at relationship building. I love sales. So that meant like connecting with people, seeing, achieving a similar goal together. And then all of that just transpired into therapy. And I'm like, yeah, it's so important because I'm better at one-on-ones or, you know, smaller group intimate settings, like big groups. You say you're an extrovert. I cannot go out and just be in a crowd forever, where I'm just like, okay, I need to go home and just go sit on my couch for hours and not be around anybody.
I say I'm an introvert. My wife would say I'm an extrovert, and my therapist would say I'm an extrovert. But I say I'm an introvert. But
And that's one of the things you learn in therapy, right? Because this professional is not, it's not like the typical place where you see on TV where you're laying on a couch and the therapist is like, what do
Yeah.
you see? What are you thinking? No, you're actually going there to achieve a goal, to understand yourself better, right? And so that's why I think it's so important because, yeah, we all need to understand ourselves better because who are you? What do you like? We are conditioned to think a certain way, right? And growing up, you're not allowed to challenge your parents because they're like, don't argue with me. I'm the adult. But
Right.
now you are the adult and you're like, why do I still have questions?
Yeah, yeah. Because they were never answered when we were
Yes.
younger.
Yeah,
we just had to fall in
and
line.
like I mean, this is my opinion, but I want to hear if you guys agree with this or not. But I feel like in the Hmong community, we're always told like, I did this, right? I'm talking about the OGs, right? We survived war. We grew up in refugee camps. So why are you guys complaining? You guys have
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
this is a common message, right? You guys have everything. You guys have this and you guys have that. And that is the lens that I chose to look at life for a long time until I finally realized, wait. Break check that.
Yeah.
You had problems. That was your problems.
Yeah.
That was your generation. That was your time. That was your place. My time and place is not the same as yours.
Yeah.
These problems are real too.
Yes.
These problems are real too. They're not war problems. And I think that's what I battled with as a child or as a teen or as an adult, to always compare that, like, oh, I don't have to fly. I'm not fleeing
Yeah.
war. I'm not fleeing gunshot wounds and refugee camps. So why am I bitching?
Doesn't that make you feel guilty?
It,
And you're
it
like,
does, but then at some point, the biggest and the best thing that I did for myself was to realize, wait, hold up. My problems are still problems. They're just not the same
Yes.
problems.
And
the
it's still
fact that
valid.
it's still valid.
Yes.
And the reason and the fact that it's not the same as your problems, that's not my fault. I was born in '88. You grew up in Vietnam in the '70s. If I was with you at that time, I would have been with you 100%. But I grew up in
Yeah.
the West, so therefore, how can I associate with you on that sense?
Yeah.
And maybe our parents don't understand that,
Yeah.
but it's our place
Yeah,
to
but-
understand it and switch it up,
Yeah,
break it up.
I can relate to that a lot now as a parent. Like now, I do like I am faced with this. This dilemma of like, okay, do I parent? Like, how do I go about parenting
Right,
these
right.
things? But the reality is, their existence, they exist in a totally different
Yeah,
world
different
than
time.
I do.
A different time.
And my parents existed in a totally different world than I do. And they're going to, my job as a parent is not to tell them what to do or how to do things, but to equip them with the tools to handle like certain situations. And they're going to be dealing with like so many different things, like, and the world is going to look different in 5
Yeah,
years
right,
than
right.
it does today. Like the world is changing so fast.
Always changing.
And like that's why even social media, like for me, it's like I want them on social media. I want to give them the tools to learn how to navigate
social
this.
media, yeah.
I want them to understand that, hey, this is not who you are. This is just
Social media. It's just social media.
It's a sales, right?
Yeah,
You're
it's a sales
selling
tactic.
something. Yeah.
But that's the
And-
thing, though.
yeah.
Some people take social media as real person. Like,
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we
Yeah.
have businesses and stuff, so we think about that, right? We have businesses, so we think maybe a little bit like. And as you get older, you start to understand that. But when you're 14, can you think like that? Is it possible to
Yeah.
think like
Right.
that at 14?
No,
because I used to
because
post some crazy shit when I was
that's the
16.
thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
At that age, you don't have
You're
the
just
life
posting what you feel.
experience
Yeah.
to have gone through it, right? And that's what when I posted my teenager photos, I was like, ew, this is so cringy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But whatever. It just shows you how youthful and dumb and how little you know about yourself and the world and what you think you
Yeah.
like, right? And so it's okay to get a little lost in that, and it's okay to be like, oh, this is actually fun and I'm getting some kind of gratification. But again, like you guys both said, don't get lost in it where you start personifying somebody else and you start acting like somebody completely different, because as teenagers, yeah, we don't know who we are, right? We haven't gone through those life experiences. We haven't experienced heartbreak. We haven't experienced
Right.
losses. We haven't experienced so many other things that you get to experience as you keep growing and learning about yourself. So as a teenager, I think as a parent, I'm not a parent, so I can't really say, but I was a teenager, so I understand if my parents had just allowed me to really, really just be myself and be weird and stop being like, you need to be like
Right.
this, I think I would be at a completely different place. I would not be, I feel like I would be more confident. And there is, what is it? There's a term, and it's, okay, it'll come to me, but it's like allowing your child to make mistakes because, like you said, you are there to show them, like, hey, it's okay for you to mess up. I am your landing place to feel safe, to mess up and allow you to mess up. And I will be there for you no matter what, right? Imagine if you had your parents be that compassionate towards you and say, whatever you do, if you mess up, and we know our parents love us. No matter what we do and we mess up, they're going to be there. But to have them hear them say that, it has so much impact again, right? It's the effect of, hey, I wanted to hear that you would be there for me. And now, like, you are that adult person to yourself. And so inner child work is very, very important. And you do that in therapy as well, you know? Yeah. So it's
Is it ever perfect though?
no.
I feel like now that we're going the other way, like now it's almost like now that the common talking point now is like, oh, now we're too easy on your kids, right? And so it's like, it always just goes back and forth. Like it's generational. It goes back and forth. Like because now the thing that people do talk about is like, oh man, now we're
too soft.
Now we're too easy on them. Yeah, now we're too easy.
I have a take on
them.
that too, man. I think